Hello and welcome to the Total Football Podcast. I'm Declan Harron. Today I'm joined by Matthias O'Flaherty.
Hello.
On today's show we'll discuss Derby Day Sunday, the Champions League draw, and where the Guardiola-Mourinho rivalry stands now. There is no fiercer match in football than a derby match between two local teams. So it was our treat on Sunday to have not one but two local matches. However, there would be no mass brawl on the pitch in Merseyside. The fans inside Old Trafford would be similarly disappointed. However, reports from this morning indicate that after the match, it all kicked off. Talk of milk and water bottles thrown, Arteta pouring blood, and Mourinho furious at Ederson. But was it all a bit too late for United?
I mean, yeah. It came after United have lost the game, so obviously it's a bit too late.
Like, where was the fight for Mourinho during the match?
It's hard to say. I mean, if you listen to some of the reports of what happened, Mourinho was annoyed that City weren't showing enough respect. Apparently they were celebrating a bit too loudly.
Yeah, too loudly, and apparently Southampton had similar complaints after their match, but Mourinho has one
previous.
To talk. Southampton you could see a proper argument for him, but Mourinho, especially against Pep, even.
Yeah, I mean, this is a way to their biggest rival, the second place team. It doesn't guarantee them the title, but goes a big way towards helping it. And Mourinho, he's a big thing about respect. He was the same at Conte,
Yeah, and then even just during the week, he was very disrespectful towards Pep and the whole Catalonia thing and the players. It's standard, it just seems like another deflection tactic for Mourinho, because, of course, this is how we're opening the show. We're talking about after the match. We're not talking about the match itself, which we will get onto. But it just seems like classic Mourinho. At
the same time, I have to say, Mourinho's clearly in the wrong. He's going over to the away dressing room while they're celebrating. He should not be doing that. He's getting into a slagging match with Ederson. He should not be doing that. But apparently, it was the City players who escalated it further and started throwing milk.
It's weird. There's so many unconfirmed reports at the time of recording. The FA are waiting for Michael Oliver's match report. He was the referee, and then after that, they're going to investigate it again. And who knows what could come out of that? Lukaku is involved prominently, according to Daniel Taylor of The Guardian. There's blood pouring from Arteta's face. I still don't understand how it happened, but
I mean, you've obviously got to wait until all the facts come to light. What we have now is, eyewitness reports. They mightn't be factual. They might be biased. You can't tell.
Said, she said kind of stuff at the moment.
But, from what's being said at the moment, I don't think you can really give any player a suspension just because there's not enough detail on, who escalated it. It was something like 20 people brawling. So, I mean, you're not gonna fine or ban everybody who's involved with it. Maybe Mourinho will get something because he has gone over to the City dressing room and started it. Yeah,
it isn't strange for the one manager to go to another manager's dressing room. You hear stories about that all the time, but in the manner in which Mourinho did it is what's strange.
Yeah. Although I would say, City have got to have a bit of cop too. It's a way against your derby. I know it's great to celebrate, but you can see why that would get.
Apparently they were playing Oasis really loudly, so I can understand why Mourinho would be upset. But it's just why did this happen after the match? Is just
I mean, I don't think that a lack of fight was United's problem on the pitch.
That does bring that's the number one topic for the news is the match itself. So we'll move into that. We'll segue. The match itself was. It was kind of exactly how I thought it would go, really. It was,
I mean, everybody could see it coming,
Yeah, there were no real surprises, just maybe Lukaku's ability to help City.
Yeah.
It was strange.
Yeah, and I mean, I've gone on about it before, but as soon as Pogba was out, that's, in my opinion, what has made this match play out the way it is. With him there, I think it could have been different. Without him, there's no hope.
At best, I think there's a draw in that match.
I'm not even saying the result will be all that different, but I'm saying the play style, the manner in which both teams approach it might be different. We might get a bit more, of a football game. But
it's a lot more compact when Pogba's not there because it was noticeable that when Pogba went off against Arsenal last week through the red card, that United shored up the defence. They were a lot more rigid and structured.
Yeah, there was a lot less chances.
It was chaotic when Pogba was on the pitch. Maybe it would have been better just to have Pogba there for the chaos.
I mean, I don't see United winning that chaotic a game either with the finishes City have and the chances they'll create. I mean, really, what more could United do? You know, they're not good enough to go toe-to-toe with City.
But that was the thing, though. Once they conceded, they decided to come out and actually go toe-to-toe. We only got to see it for 4 minutes because they equalised so quickly. Yeah. But they did create a couple chances in that time.
Okay, but the goal they scored was another defensive mistake.
Well, I think all three of the goals were...
all the goals were defensive mistakes.
Egregious mistakes from just everyone on the pitch. It was a disaster. Really low quality in the end.
Yeah, and you have to be a little bit surprised that it's the Mourinho team giving up more defensive mistakes. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to play against a team, especially one with as many defensive players and as good defensive players as United. You know, even City are going to struggle a bit creating chances.
But then you think about it, like Chris Smalling and Marcus Rojo at centre back is not a centre back partnership that's going to strike fear into the hearts of Man City's front three.
I mean, yeah, that's true. I think Rojo might be a little better than you're giving him credit for.
He's
but
just brainless. Like I question his decision making. That's more why
he can be brainless. Yeah, he can be brainless, and definitely you can lose the head. But I don't think City have any, bad boy up front who do that. Make him lose the head. They don't have a Costa. They don't have somebody who'll throw his weight around.
I feel like that would suit Rojo better. Like I remember in the Chelsea match last season at Old Trafford, like Rojo relished playing up with Costa. Like Costa was the one affected by Rojo, not the other way around.
That's true. But I mean, yeah, like the game happened. It happened as most people expected it to. City are, 11 points clear now.
Congratulations to City. I'd like to be the first to say, it's been a very successful campaign for Pep, and they are Premier League champions. I think undoubtedly.
At this point, something has to go majorly wrong for them to lose it, especially with all the other teams losing points this weekend.
Yeah, like we will go on to that. Like Chelsea, Tottenham are the only team that won from the top six, and they're the furthest away. Great weekend for Tottenham. They really needed to catch up.
They did, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they were, 5 games without a win, 6 games without a win?
5 games without a win, I think.
Yeah, so, I mean, they needed this. Yeah. They needed this, and they got it. Fair play.
Yeah, they absolutely destroyed Stoke.
Yeah.
Mark Hughes under more scrutiny again this week. But then, David Moyes, probably the best result of his Manchester United career, I think, at the weekend.
That mightn't be unfair to say. I mean... You look at Chelsea, they've lost 4 games in the league this season. 1 to City.
That's a fair one.
That's a fair one. 1 to Burnley right at the beginning with 2 men sent off.
Oh yeah, it was 2 men. I keep thinking it was just 1.
2 men sent off.
They were 3-0 down with 10 men though.
Yeah, but they were a man down after 10 minutes, and that's a Burnley team who've been very good this year.
Yeah.
So, that's unfortunate.
Yeah,
but
in isolation that match seems
exactly.
fine.
And then you've got the other 2, which are Crystal Palace, who were last for their first win of the season under Roy Hodgson.
First 2 goals as well.
First 2 goals of the season. Then against West Ham for David Moyes' first win as West Ham manager.
Were they bottom at the start of the weekend? They were
I think they were.
Okay.
They were definitely relegation zone.
Yeah, they were in the relegation zone because David Moyes broke the record for most amount of consecutive match weeks as a manager in the relegation zone. 41. Wow. 41 weeks in a row.
That's quite incredible.
Yeah.
But anyways, Chelsea shouldn't be losing those games. The other top teams aren't losing those games, I mean, it's one thing to lose to a Watford or a Burnley, a good team who are doing well, better than expected so far this season. It's another thing to lose to the team in last.
Yeah.
They're defending champions. That's what's killed their, if they had 6 more points, sure, they wouldn't be all that close to City all the same. They'd be 8 points?
8 points off,
8 points, yeah. And I mean, 8 points is a big gap, but 8 points is a manageable gap, especially because City's form won't last forever. They've got 14 wins in a row now,
That's a permanent record for one season.
Chelsea managed 13 last year, and they still almost got caught by Spurs at the end.
Yeah.
City will start slipping up. They will start losing games, especially when, the European matches come around in February and
even
March.
Just in this festive period, there are so many matches that you'd expect them to slip up. Well, they play Tottenham next weekend. That's going to be a big test for Man City.
Yeah, but they've no pressure on them now. So if they do lose a game, who cares, If you're 8 points clear, you lose a game. That's 5 points. You're thinking, oh, we only have 1 more win safe, you know? That's not quite as good. Now they can lose 3 games in a row and still be top of the table.
Yeah, that's such a nice... I don't think Man City will get that complacent.
No, I don't either. But at the same time, I think if somebody was behind them putting pressure on them, it'd give a bigger chance of them slipping up under the pressure. You know?
That's just the disappointing thing about this season because I don't even think Chelsea have had a bad start to the season.
They haven't had the worst start. I mean, it is only 4 losses in 16
they've
games.
32 points from 16 matches.
Yeah.
Like, that's not that bad of a haul. United have 35 from the same amount of matches. Like, they're very good starts.
I mean, anything above 2 points per game is very good.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just that Man City have been just winning every match, that there is no title race.
Yeah, that's the big
because,
problem.
Like, everything's really close between 2nd and 7th. It's a really close relegation battle. Like, everything would be set up for a really good season. Just the Premier League, the actual title race itself, the most important one, is just done.
Yeah, and I mean, you are right. Like, Chelsea are on track for 76 points this season.
Yeah, which, that's a pretty good haul.
Yeah, okay, that's not going to win the league, but that's definitely going to, you know...
That's Champions League places.
That's Champions League places. A little more luck, you're putting pressure on the league winners, unless it's City who are going to, you know, get 100 points or something the way they're going.
Can City beat the Mourinho 95 points record?
I mean, they can. Will they is another question, because that's, you know, that point record is very hard to beat.
Yeah,
like I think
that's like 9 points dropped the entire season.
Something like it.
No, it'll be 19 points.
19 points, yeah. I mean, they've dropped 2, you know.
Yeah.
They can afford to drop 17 more. At the same time, if they drop 17 points over the next, 22 games?
22 games, yeah.
You know, that's less than a point a game they drop.
Yeah.
That's, you know, they would, if they played as well as Chelsea have been for the rest of the season, they won't beat it.
Yeah.
You know? And Chelsea haven't been, you know, we've been going on about, they haven't been playing all that bad. If they're Champions League level for the rest of the season, they won't break it. So they can. But with the amount of fixtures coming up, with European considerations, I think it's going to be difficult for them.
Yeah, I could see them come the quarterfinals of the Champions League, if they get there, that they could just focus on that, because they'll have such a gap. Like, you think this gap is going to get bigger, the way things stand. Like, they could break the 18-point record that Man United set in 2000 for the gap between first and second.
I think that's more likely, if anything, because, you know, the quality in the Premier League has risen on the whole. You know, the lower teams are better. I think the challengers are going to lose more points.
Yeah.
And
like, when you look at who the top teams are dropping points to, like West Ham.
Exactly, yeah.
And like West Ham play Arsenal midweek. We'll talk about that later. Like, if Arsenal don't win there as well, like, that's good results for West Ham, but it looks really poor for those big teams. Like, Arsenal drop points to Southampton.
But I mean, you've gone from a couple of teams like Everton, Southampton and Newcastle being bogey teams for the top 4 or the top 6 to every team in the league being a bogey team, you know? There's no weekend where you can say, yeah, we should win that. Like, maybe Swansea at the moment. But even
Swansea
then,
seem like the easiest team in the league for the top teams at the moment.
But even then, like, West Ham would have looked like that before this weekend, you know? Before.
But to be fair to West Ham, they did put up a very good performance against Man City. Like, there were warning signs there for Chelsea.
They did, but a lot of that looked down to City being poor rather than West Ham being great, you know?
Yeah, but I still think there was enough there. Like,
there were
West
signs.
Ham shut up the shop pretty well, I thought.
They did, and there were signs, but at the same time, like...
Yeah, Chelsea should be winning this.
Chelsea should be winning. And, like, Chelsea had 68% possession.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird for a team with Eden Hazard to be that toothless.
He was poor as well, because he's been very good lately.
He has. Yeah, that's probably his worst game.
They didn't have a single shot on target in the second half. Like, considering the amount of the ball they had, that's really poor. Morata missed a really good chance in the 82nd minute or something like that. Like,
I mean, that sort of possession, that's Fabregas's job. That's why he's in the team. He's to go against the weaker sides and open up those packed defences.
Like, Bakayoko, he's been hit and miss.
I mean, I thought he was very good against Spurs, his first game for the club.
I don't think he's played as well since then, though.
He played very well against Atletico.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to be remembered, he had some serious surgery done in his knee over the summer.
Does he need a break?
Probably.
Does he need to rest?
Probably. He was rushed back for that Spurs game.
Like, Chelsea have a history of rushing players back and making them play through injuries.
That's most of what Eden Hazard's poor form in the 15-16 year season was. Yeah, that was down to him being rushed back from a hip injury. Not giving it time to, was it hip or ankle? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Not, giving it time to rest, whatever. And I mean, Chelsea do have a history of it. Bakayoko volunteered for the Spurs game because it was such a big game. He made himself available, and that's admirable. But he should have been rested for another 2 weeks after that then. Probably. Because, he wasn't fit, and he's been playing almost every game since, especially with Kante out injured and Drinkwater out injured. Chelsea's centre midfield depth was very weak. And he just, he hasn't had time to rest it. and now his form started dipping. He's a young player. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think what's best for him is a bit of time out of the team, rest, recover.
Because like in those 2 matches that you mentioned, like he was very good.
Yeah.
Like he's got bags of potential.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. He's 23. You got to remember, this isn't a signing. He's not meant to be amazing right now. He's meant to have 10 years at Chelsea.
Yeah.
That's what they want from him, and I think in the long term, he'll turn out to be a very successful signing. I just think maybe this season we'll see a bit more of the Bakayoko we've seen against West Ham.
Many players before have taken a season to kind of adjust to the Premier League. Like that could be the case with Bakayoko as well.
Yeah, and look, Paul Pogba. I mean, nowhere near as good last year as he has been so far this year.
Yeah, and part of that is down to Manic being in the side as well, I think. But that is also a good point.
Yeah, I won't say it'll be that good, but like it's the same principle.
Yeah, and it's happened with plenty of players before that.
Yeah.
But as we mentioned, Merseyside was the other derby. It was a disappointing draw for Liverpool. Klopp decided to blame the referee for the penalty that he said shouldn't have been given, but his team selection was very strange.
It was. I remember looking at that and thinking, what's going on here? He started Dominic Solanke, who hasn't scored a goal for Liverpool yet. He's a good player, don't get me wrong.
He's got loads of potential.
He was one of Chelsea's highest rated prospects before he went to Liverpool.
Yeah, he's still like 19.
He's still 19, 20. He's got bags of potential. Why is he starting in the Merseyside derby when he hasn't scored a goal?
Biggest match of the season for Liverpool in the league.
Yeah, he hasn't scored a goal for the club yet. I mean, he's not under pressure because of it, I wouldn't say. Because he's young, he's more for the future.
It's just
at the same time.
This match.
Yeah, and when you have such good backups, I mean, Coutinho is on the bench. That's not a backup.
Yeah, it was the perfect match for Coutinho. Yeah. Like I was watching the first half thinking, if they were playing Coutinho, he'd be able to find the ball to break through this wall that Everton had set up.
Yeah, and I mean, because Everton were defending deep, 2 banks of 4. That's,
Yeah, that's Big Sam.
Yeah, basically. And with Liverpool, both their wingers like to cut in. Mane and Salah both like to come in to the centre. So that clogs up the centre even more. You've got 3 players, playing right in the middle on top of each other. Whereas if you had Coutinho has the intelligence to recognise that and come away from it a bit, open it up a bit. I think Firmino mightn't have made too much of a difference.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I think this game has showed why Liverpool lack a proper out-and-out winger.
Yeah.
They don't have wingers who hug the touchline, get down to the byline and put in a cross.
Yeah,
and I mean,
that's been City's strength this year is the width.
That's exactly what Sané and Sterling do so well, So I think it's not coincidental either that Robertson had a great game for Liverpool.
Yeah.
I thought he was very good. And that's because his winger was cutting in, he had room to push down the touchline and whip in across when needed. I think he created a fair few chances for them.
Yeah.
And that's when they look most dangerous. So, well done to Big Sam, obviously, because he's seen that.
It was a real robbery there.
Yeah.
Like, we can debate all we want about whether it was a penalty or not. The penalty was given. Wayne Rooney, of all players, stepped up to take it. I'm sure he enjoyed that more than most goals he'll score for Everton. It was his first goal for Everton against Liverpool in the Merseyside derby, I think.
Yeah. I mean, obviously he's got to love that, Might have come a little bit later than he would have expected growing up as a kid.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure he'll take it,
he'll
for
take
a point.
it all the same.
No, it wasn't at the Cop End, it was by the Everton fans.
Yeah. At the same time, Everton haven't won a game against Liverpool in the league since 2010.
Yeah, it's 20
under
matches
David Moyes.
now, I think.
Yeah. That's a shocking record.
Yeah.
That's, and this season maybe isn't the time to get it.
No.
But
I didn't expect Everton to come out and win yesterday at all.
No, but Big Sam will be happy enough with the draw. It's a good result as far as Everton are concerned.
Yeah. They're up in 10th now.
Yeah.
They've seemed to just kind of gotten order. They've gotten order back into the team now. They don't look like a complete mess.
Yeah.
As much as they did a month or so ago that we discussed at length.
But at the same time, they've only picked up 7 points in the last 9 games to go from relegation zone to 10th.
Yeah, another couple of defeats and they could end up back in the relegation zone. So tight down there. But while the title race in England seems to be over, the title race in Serie A is just heating up.
I mean,
Juve 0, Inter Milan 0 in Juventus, wasn't it?
Yep.
There's just 2 points separating the top 3 sides. Napoli also only drawing 0-0. Can't remember with whom now. But
Napoli have got to see that as an opportunity lost.
Yeah,
really.
like that really could have made up ground after the defeat last week to Juventus.
Second and third are playing each other. You want to be winning.
Yeah,
you know?
especially when it's so close. But Napoli, just depth seems to be their biggest issue. They seem like they're just the loss of Goulam seems to just completely destroyed their output. Yeah, even though he is only a left back.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, Napoli, the only place where they have a bit of depth is striker, which is good because Arkadiusz Milik is always injured.
Yeah, he's done his ligaments in both knees.
He's done 2 ACLs in the last 3 years or something. Yeah, it's terrible. But Napoli don't have the financial clout to have the depth that English teams could expect.
Yeah, even Juventus and Inter Milan, like they both have a lot more money than Napoli have.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they're doing quite well for themselves they are right now. Yeah. And they're playing some really good football.
Yeah.
You know, their front three is as dangerous as any in Europe. And I mean, those three aren't the only teams looking at the title in Serie A either.
Roma have a 3-point gap between themselves and Juventus and fourth, but they also have a game in hand that they're yet to play. Yeah. So if they win that, then it's even closer at the top. Lazio are there. Yeah. Sampdoria are having a great start to the season.
It's too close to call, really, you know. I don't know what's going to separate them. I think this could go all the way to the last day or two of the season.
Yeah, Juventus has started to look a lot stronger in recent matches after a bit of a poor start, but Inter Milan have also completely changed under Spalletti. Yeah,
Inter Milan have looked very good this season. I mean, they're back to, the powerhouse.
Yeah, and they're so well set up defensively that they look like you'll never score against them.
Yeah.
Like, that's 2 clean sheets against Napoli and Juventus now this season.
Yeah. I mean, with Italian teams, they always build from the back.
Yeah, and Inter Milan were the home of the Catenaccio, I believe. So it's what you'd expect from Inter Milan, really.
That's what all their great success have been built on.
Yeah.
Mourinho, when he came and did it, as we'll talk about later, that's, where he built his team from. When they were winning the league in the 70s, that's where they built their team from. Whenever they're successful, Inter Milan have been brilliant at the back. And their new signing, right back, Albanian.
Oh, I can't remember his name now.
I can't either. It's escaping me for the moment, but he's been fantastic for them. I saw him in a pre-season friendly, I think, and he was the best player on the pitch, and he's just kept that through all the way through the season, And, Italian teams need to do that, get the cheap signing or two who turns out to be an absolute blockbuster for them. But Inter Milan, the way they're going right now, I think could have done quite well in the Champions League this year.
Yeah, and it seems like that either way, if they do win the league or not, that they will qualify for the Champions League this season. It'll be exciting to have them back.
Yeah, Italy finally looks like it's coming back to the top table.
Yeah, that's what we all want to see, I think. But in Germany, Peter Bosz, the Dortmund manager, no longer Dortmund manager. He's been sacked over the weekend. You predicted it a couple of weeks ago.
I couldn't remember his name, but yes.
Peter Stöger, former Cologne manager. He was sacked recently. They're bottom of the table. Isn't that a bit weird?
It is a little bit, but I think in Germany, because it's almost the opposite to the way the English clubs are run. The manager, the gaffer, doesn't have the control he does in England. They have a director of football who is more important in a lot of cases, and they have a chairman or a CEO or board executive who will be loud and mouthy and also very involved. So, the manager is just there to put the club's philosophy into practice on the pitch. So it's not quite as important a role as we'd see it, you know. And I think that's why he's been given this chance, because he brought Cullen from a second division team up to 5th last year. You know?
Like they're in the Europa League this season. Yeah. They beat Arsenal a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, that was their best result in their history, I think, the club's history.
Yeah,
pretty
much.
He's all right. They're last now, but even then, they're still kind of expected to get out of the relegation zone before the end.
And Cologne fans are kind of sad to see him go.
They are, yeah. I mean, he got a standing ovation with his team in last.
Yeah, he's a bit of an icon for the fans.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's done, basically what he's done for them is similar to what Ranieri did for Leicester,
Yeah.
And I think the fans were kind of in agreement it was the time to see him go, but at the same time, they're sad to see him leave. Yeah, and it's hard to tell will he do well at Dortmund because there are some serious problems there. I don't think,
But they've won one match in 13 matches now. Like, that's...
But, like, how much of that goes down to Peter Bosz? How much of that can be fixed by a new manager coming in? Like, the silly mistakes that have been plaguing them all season aren't going to disappear. Well, maybe they will. Maybe that's because the players didn't like Bosz and they were, mentally checked out, and that's why some of the mistakes were happening. And a new manager will fix it.
Maybe a change of system is just all that's needed. It could be as simple as that.
Maybe, but like they won't be changing system. They'll be playing the same sort of formation, the same sort of football, because that's the Dortmund way, Like, obviously, it's got to get better for them. And the way they're going right now, they'll end up in the relegation zone.
Yeah, they've been just embarrassing themselves lately. Like that Schalke match in particular was just such a low point for the club.
Yeah, but you got to remember they started the season very well. It looked like Bosz was an inspired signing.
Yeah, their transformation from greatness to terribleness is just been amazing to watch.
And I mean, nobody seems to know what's caused it. There's no, a lot of the time you can kind of look at things in hindsight and say, yeah, you can kind of see that this affected morale.
Maybe there was a falling out between Bosz and the players.
Maybe, but that would be, to my mind, strange. Yeah. Seeing as he was in there for 2 months pre-season, had a great first month, and then suddenly something happens and it all goes down the toilet.
It's just everything's gone wrong for them lately. Yeah. It's absolutely bizarre to see a team just collapse like that so early in the season.
Yeah, and I mean, they were hesitant to sack Bosz because he cost them something like 10 million from Ajax.
Yeah.
And it's not great for, Dutch football either, because that's all four of the major coaches,
there's no Dutch coach in the top 5 leagues at the moment, which is a sad time for Dutch football.
Yeah, especially when they pride themselves on exporting their football. And something will need to happen there. The whole organisation seems to be a bit...
that's a topic of a show all unto itself, Dutch football. But the Champions League round of 16 draw happened this morning at the time, today, Monday, in Switzerland. The draw gave us some pretty nice matches. The first one out of the hat was one of the best ones, Juventus against Tottenham. Who do you see coming out of that one?
That is tough. I mean, Juventus have looked slightly underwhelming this season in Europe, and Tottenham have looked very good. At the same time, in the leagues, it's kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
Juventus looked to be coming into form, and Tottenham, all right, they won their game, but, 5 losses before it, 5 games without a win before.
Yeah.
Obviously, these games aren't happening for another 2.5 months or something.
Yeah, that's always the frustrating thing about the round of 16 draw. It's always the most exciting draw, and then we have the longest wait.
Yeah, and you can't really predict anything based on form either.
It is a bit of a difficult question to ask.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think Juve might do it just because Tottenham would be coming out of the festive period. They'll have a lot of tired legs. They'll be going into, midweek European games with, tough league games sandwiching them. And they don't have a lot of depth. I think Juve have a little bit more depth. I think they have a little bit of a kinder fixture schedule.
They have that experience as well.
They have the experience of being there.
That could be the difference.
Yeah, I mean, that will make a difference. So I can see Juve sneaking it on an away goal or something.
Yeah, and then Basel, Manchester City, probably one of the kinder draws for Manchester City.
Yeah, I would have liked to see City play, one of the top teams.
Yeah, just because I think that would have been the most exciting thing to see.
That and because I'd like to see City tested. They don't seem to be getting a test in Europe. Like, they, right now, look like the best team in Europe. So I want to see them against one of the other best teams.
Yeah, I want to see them, like, if they're going to win this thing, I want to see them earn it for their first time.
Not like Real Madrid 2 years ago or whatever, where they got the easiest draws all the way up. But, I mean, if they beat Basel, like you'd expect they will, they'll have to play some tough team in the quarterfinals. They could
even maybe get an English team in the quarterfinals.
They could, yeah. There'll be, there's a lot of good teams left in it this year, and it looks like it'll be, a tough ride for whoever does end up winning it.
Yeah, and then Porto have drawn Liverpool.
I mean, that's handy enough for Liverpool. They'll take that, I think.
I don't remember Porto playing Liverpool in recent years, so it's fresh as well.
It's fresh. Porto are a good side without being great.
Yeah.
Liverpool should beat them. I think it's the sort of team Liverpool will do well against.
Yeah.
I think
the cup the cup format will suit Liverpool. I think it does. They're a team for the big occasion. They always have good one-off performances in them. Yeah. They could be a dark horse for this competition.
Yeah, I mean, they got to the Europa League finals.
Yeah.
All right, they got beat by Sevilla, but Sevilla are also a cup team, or were a cup team back then.
That was their third Europa League in a row.
Exactly. I think, cups do suit Liverpool, especially, they suit attacking teams ahead of defensive teams for the most part.
Yeah.
And I think if Liverpool if Liverpool's attack is good enough to overwhelm the other team, they'll win comfortably. And I think that should be the case with Porto.
Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting matchup, though. Like, Liverpool in Europe this season have been kind of weird. Like,
Hit and
keep
miss.
racing to Leeds and then giving them away.
I mean, they've scored the most goals in the group stage out of any English team ever.
Yeah, but they also conceded a lot.
Yes, and after drawing the first 2 games, you know,
like they
where
had a
they
2-2
really
draw,
shouldn't
they had a
have.
3-3 draw.
Yeah, and both of those games they should have won without question.
Oh,
you know?
definitely, yeah.
So, yeah, they'll want to iron out those kinks, but I still think they're good for the quarterfinals.
Then speaking of Sevilla, we've got the 2 last Europa League winners in a knockout round. The winner gets the Europa League trophy again, I think. Sevilla take on Manchester United.
Well, you've got to say United should win it.
Yeah, it's a kind draw to United. I was kind of hoping to see United get a bigger team just because they've been out of the Champions League for so long. It'd be nice to see them get one of the big teams again, another big night at Old Trafford. But Sevilla, they're in poor form in Spain at the moment. They're not quite the team they were under Unai Emery.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they've been better. I think they're on a downward slope.
Yeah, they lost 5-0 to Madrid at the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't been great in Spain. They haven't been great in the group stages. They could have lost to Spartak, you know.
Yeah, they did. They lost 5-1 to Spartak, actually.
Right, yeah. No,
that's a terrible result.
It is. I mean, they haven't looked great so far in Europe. And I mean, on form, they're probably one of the worst teams in the last 16.
Yeah.
At the same time, they've got 2 months to sort things
I
out.
think if there's one team there that can improve a lot between now and the actual match taking place, it is Sevilla.
Yeah,
they're not to be underestimated by Mourinho.
Yeah, definitely. And they could be a major banana peel. You know, I think United, obviously, you know, 2 months down the line, they're storming. Sevilla are winning all their games. You know, they're looking fantastic in Spain. You won't underestimate them then.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think United better be careful if they think this is going to be an easy draw, and they should.
Yeah, like Ben Yedder's had a good group stage.
Yeah.
Like he's scoring a lot of goals this season. So like, you look at that Man United defensive. Eric Bailly continues to be injury prone. He could cause a lot of problems.
Yeah, definitely
for Man United. And then probably the biggest match of the draw was Paris Saint-Germain drew Real Madrid, the current holders Real Madrid.
Oh, I mean, PSG have been investing in the squad to win the Champions League. That's their goal.
It's the Galacticos of Spain against the Galacticos of France.
Yeah, I mean, both of these teams, like Real Madrid, define themselves on their success in the Champions League. Yeah. That's their identity as a club. PSG are trying to forge that identity. Yeah. You know, winning France isn't enough for them. They want to prove that they're better than that. They want to win the Champions League. They haven't done it yet. This would be a major, major warning signal to everybody else.
And like, obviously last season they had the complete embarrassment at the Nou Camp when they were 4-0 up and managed to throw that away. And if ever there was a tie for them to kind of remove those doubts ever since that match, it is Real Madrid. If they can beat Real Madrid, they'll really look like a new team. Absolutely.
And I mean, they've already pushed Bayern into second place, you know. They've already looked good so far this season. I mean, the Strasbourg game was their first loss, you know. They're dangerous. They are seriously looking like Champions League winners.
Yeah, they're the current favourites for most books.
And I mean, for me, they need a big statement win to show that they're on the level with Barca and Madrid. And I thought that 4-0 against Barcelona last year was it. And then they undid all of that.
Yeah, I was the same as well. That was absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
night.
but if they put away Real Madrid, that will speak volumes.
Yeah.
You know, especially in the manner in which they do it. You know, if they scrape an away goal and get through, maybe not looking so hot anymore. At the same time, if they beat them by 2 or 3, which I think they're capable of.
Yeah.
You know, if they do that, you know, surely they have to be favourites from there on out.
Yeah, but if Zidane doesn't get through this, I think that could be the end of him at Madrid.
Definitely.
I think the Champions League is what's keeping him going at the moment.
Yeah.
The fact that they've won it twice in a row doesn't stand for much at Madrid, I don't think.
No, I mean, past honours, Madrid is the club where they mean least. Yeah. You know, Ancelotti got canned 6 months after winning La Decima.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with their league form going badly. If they lose the Clásico, I mean,
that's the title race over, you would think.
Yeah, and if they lose the Clásico and they lose in the last 16, that'll be it.
It'll be a nice throwback to 10 years ago when they couldn't get out of the last 16.
Yeah.
Then in the next one is kind of a hipsters kind of pick, I think. Shakhtar Donetsk versus Roma.
I mean, Roma have looked really good so far in the Champions League.
Oh, yeah, like they did very well to top that group.
Yeah, it was a difficult group. So, at the same time, Donetsk are not a bad team.
They're the only team to beat Man City this season, even if it is a second-string Man City side.
Yeah, and they have a fearsome home record in Europe.
Yeah, which is strange considering they're not even playing at home.
Yeah, like they have to play in Kiev, isn't it now?
I'm not sure where they're playing now, but they haven't played at home for 4 years.
Yeah, and I mean, they still keep up the home record, which is, I think, something like, I don't know. At one point, Barcelona were the only team to have beaten them at home in 5 years or something.
Yeah, like that is impressive.
Yeah, they're a seriously good team. I can see them beating Roma, but at the same time, I think Roma will manage to get past them.
To be fair, Roma do always have one absolutely horrendous Champions League performance where they completely humiliate themselves.
That is true.
And it could happen at any moment.
We're both thinking of the 7-1 against United.
Yeah, but even like they lost 7-1 to Barcelona recently enough as well, I think.
Yeah, no, Roma, out of all the Italian teams, are probably the worst for playing well in Italy and then badly in Europe.
Yeah.
So, and it's never the group stages in Europe, it's always the knockouts. So
yeah, you feel bad for them at this point.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since either side has got to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, and I mean they're both traditional European teams, especially Shakhtar. They have a strong series of results in Europe. They're a good team, and I mean I'd say they would be my pick for an upset winner if anybody's going to do it.
And then a nice throwback of a tie. Chelsea drew Barcelona.
Oh, we've kept the best for last, in my opinion. Second last.
There's one more.
That's right, yes. No, honestly, this is, as far as I'm concerned, the biggest rivalry between countries,
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not as big as, some of their home rivalries, but as far as European rivalries go, Chelsea versus Barcelona is the biggest to my mind.
Like they've met so many times since Chelsea had become a Champions League regular.
Like even before that, they had a couple of meetings in Europe that were not as one-sided as you would expect a pre-Abramovich Chelsea versus Barcelona to be. But yeah, especially since Mourinho came, it kicked on. They drew each other in 2005, 2006, 2008, 2009, 2012.
So many times. And they've both gotten victories over each other.
They've both gotten big wins.
Like Messi went a while without scoring against Chelsea.
He's never scored against Chelsea.
Oh, I thought it was just better check.
No, he's never scored against Chelsea. I mean, 2005, Chelsea got through with a very contentious win at 3-2.
Ronaldinho had that amazing goal.
Scored an absolute peach. Yeah. And then the year after was even worse. Drogba got sent off.
Didn't Frank Lampard score one of the most bizarre goals I've ever scored?
Yes, Lampard scored from the byline.
Like the ball was on the line.
Yeah. Mourinho had a tunnel confrontation. That started the UEFA Lona thing. Anders Frisk got death threats and retired because of it. It was just an incredible occasion, and really that's where the hatred set in. That's
and then
the
it got even worse when they met at Stamford Bridge in 2009.
I mean, that was I'm a Chelsea fan, so I am biased, but at the same time that is still the worst refereeing performance I've seen in any sport. It was scandalous.
I'm trying to think now. What would be worse? Like it was
like there was 90 minutes of brilliant end-to-end football. Chelsea's physical midfield, Ballack, Essien, Lampard going head-to-head with Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets. The technical wonder boys versus the physical presences of that Chelsea midfield, and it had flowed and it had ebbed. Essien scored a worldie. Iniesta scored a worldie.
Yeah. Essien got the assist for that. Iniesta. It all came around in a nice circle.
It was a fantastic game that got ruined by the last 4
I
and
don't
5
know.
minutes.
Once the match ended, it got even better. Like
Yeah.
it was the antics between the Chelsea players.
Yeah. I will never forget.
And then
Ballack,
it got
Ballack.
even crazier though. Like
Ballack screaming down sprinting beside the referee overbow, screaming in his face.
Yeah, that was. I remember that at the time being crazy. Like then of course 2012, it kind of flipped on the other side. Chelsea really just dug underneath Barcelona's skin.
That was almost more bizarre in a different way, because that was the best Barcelona team, ever.
Yeah.
They'd won the Champions League the year before, and that was a Chelsea team that was, it was already dead, reanimated and falling apart again.
Yeah.
They'd beaten Napoli. They'd lost 3-1 to Napoli at home. Villas-Boas got fired. Di Matteo got brought in, to bring them to the end of a season where they were looking to miss out on the Champions League spots.
Yeah.
Still in the FA Cup.
Sixth that season.
Behind Newcastle, Alan Pardew's Newcastle.
Oh, yeah. He won managers of the season that year.
Yes, okay. Yeah, they scraped past Benfica with Raul Morelos taking great delight in scoring a goal
Names
against
I've not heard in years.
I mean, that Chelsea team beat that Barcelona team with a midfield of Mikel and Raul Morelos.
And John Terry was sent off for kneeing Alexis Sanchez in the back.
Like, Chelsea finished the game with Ramirez playing right back, Basingwa playing centre back. Basingwa.
Where was Alex? Alex must have been still at the club.
No, he was gone at that point, I think.
I remember Alex too fondly.
Yeah. Oh, those goals against Liverpool.
Yeah.
But anyway, Barcelona-Chelsea is a classic modern European rivalry.
But how will this
I'm so
one
glad
go?
to see it back. Yeah. The last game of the draw, yeah.
Bayern Munich against Besiktas.
I mean, it's very kind of Bayern. They finished second in their group. Besiktas is probably the easiest group winner.
Yeah, it almost looks like a tie that's just backwards.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, yeah.
But I think Besiktas they'll enjoy playing against one of the big sides in the knockout round. I don't think they would have wanted an easy draw to a quarterfinal.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
They'd like to prove themselves on the big stage.
They would.
It seems like this is a big breakthrough season for them, and I think a statement I don't expect them to, but if they could pull off a victory against Bayern Munich, that would be a huge statement for them.
I'd say they prefer getting the reward for finishing first in the group by getting a very easy last 16, and then
they could have got Basel or Sevilla.
Yeah, and then maybe taking on a tough team and showing their mettle in the quarterfinals rather than
maybe.
But at the same time, you'd expect Bayern to win because they've changed the manager. Things are looking a bit better at the club. They're still obviously one of the better teams in Europe, but Besiktas are good. They have looked good. They have played good. They are a good team. It's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. And Turkey is like any Turkish team.
Oh, you don't want to go there.
No, welcome to hell. It is they are the most intimidating stadiums in the Champions League.
Pepe,
even Leipzig got knocked out against Besiktas. Was it Timo Werner?
Timo Werner had to go off because he was getting vertigo, I think, on the pitch.
Vertigo or
the
a
sound
headache.
was just so unbearable.
Because the atmosphere was too much for him. I mean,
can Thomas Muller handle that?
I'm sorry, you picked the most calm, ice-blooded German example.
Oh yeah.
Thomas Muller looks like he can handle anything.
Okay, well then Bayern Munich are going to win, so that's what you're saying.
Well, Thomas Muller's been out of form for roughly a year.
Yeah, but Jupp Heynckes is...
That's true. No, I would...
his son, basically.
Pretty much. I would expect Bayern to win it. But Besiktas will not be easy to beat.
It'll be fun to watch.
It will be, yes. Just so long as it's not on at the same time as PSG, Real Madrid, or Chelsea, Barca.
I'm BT. I can watch both. That'll suit me down to the ground, I think. That'll do us for the end of part one. Join us after the break as we'll look at the rivalry between Jose Mourinho and Pep Guardiola. The Manchester Derby on Sunday was the 20th meeting between the two managers involved. Guardiola has come out the victor 9 times, the most amount of defeats Mourinho has suffered against one manager, whereas Mourinho has only 4 wins against Guardiola. There have been many memorable moments in this rivalry, but is there no way back for Mourinho after this latest defeat? Is Pep the definitive better manager and coach?
No.
No?
No.
Oh, no, I disagree. 4 wins in 20 meetings.
4 wins in 20 meetings.
And look at some of those wins. One came in the Copa del Rey final, and say what you will about a final, they've won a trophy. The Copa del Rey is not the most prestigious of cups.
No.
And then the other win came. Another one of the wins came in the League Cup, in the 3rd round.
Okay, but this is, 20 meetings, yeah, but a lot of those were in Spain, where Guardiola had the best Barcelona team.
Yeah, but it's Real Madrid.
Yeah, but this was a Real Madrid who, as we were saying, didn't get out of the last 16. This
it's
was
so
a Real
much
Madrid.
Money though.
Yeah, so did Barcelona.
They had Ronaldo at the time, Kaká at the time.
Kaká, whose knees were gone.
No, but they still spent so much money on him.
Okay, but the Madrid team that Mourinho took over was nowhere near as good as Pep's Barcelona team. So how many of Pep's 9 wins came with that Barcelona team?
Well, they won one of them 5-0.
They did, and that was an embarrassment.
Yeah.
And then Mourinho went and won the other one that season.
No, it was the season after.
Was it the season after?
The one Mourinho won in La Liga, he only won once in La Liga. It was for the league, basically. That's what that crowned them as champions.
Yeah, he beat the best Barcelona team in history. He beat them the year they won the Champions League.
I think that's the more impressive one, the 3-1 for Inter.
Yeah.
But even then, I think at least one, if not 2 of those goals were offside.
There was definitely a bit of luck involved there. But, that Inter team had no right beating Barcelona that year. Barcelona should have been the first 2-time Champions League winners with that Pep team. Pep's had the better teams every time they've played.
But I think if you look at the two Manchester clubs, they both spent about roughly the same amount of money. They both started with poor squads. And you look at what Pep's built, and you look at what Mourinho's built, and you'd much rather what Pep's built.
Pep is a man who his teams. Right, he's very dogmatic. He's a very dogmatic manager. He plays one way, and that's the way he plays.
Well, they're both kind of like that.
They're not. They're not at all. Mourinho, when he started out with Porto, sort of brought the 4-3-3 into vogue in Europe, right?
Yeah, and it was a huge change to the Premier League for that as well.
Rafa Benitez of Valencia had been, popularising a 4-2-3-1. Arsene Wenger with the Invincibles had been getting a 4-2-4 almost with, 4 floating attackers. And Mourinho came out and he brought the big shift in European football to playing 3 central midfielders. Okay? And that's something that Pep has always done. But Pep started 4 years later. He only managed, he took over Barcelona in 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mourinho won the Champions League in 2004.
2007. Was it?
It was Barcelona B in 2007.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Mourinho won the Champions League with Porto in 2004. The weirdest Champions League I can remember in a long time. He beat Sir Alex Ferguson's United.
Yeah, that's kind of what put him on the map.
Yeah.
That 1-1 draw at Old Trafford.
With that famous knee slide.
Yeah.
But at that point, English teams were still a bit behind. They were Ferguson was playing a 4-4-2 at that point, I think.
Yeah, the Premier League was yet to really evolve tactically.
Yeah, so then he came to Chelsea and he played 3 in the middle and nobody could handle it. He had, I think it was Lampard, Thiago and Makelele his first year in the middle. And it just it bullied people, they couldn't handle the power in the middle. But that's because that's the Chelsea team he inherited. At this point, Mourinho played the one way with every team. But then he moves to Inter and he's got a completely different setup. He's got a load of aging players. He doesn't have the physical midfield he had at Chelsea. He doesn't have the wingers. He had Joe Cole and Arjen Robben, who at the time were 2 of the best. Damien Duff was there too, at the best period of his career, really. Chelsea's wingers were amazing. Inter's weren't. So he changed up the system, he played in a different way, and he went out and won the Champions League playing through the middle with Wesley Sneijder.
Yeah, but Pep's never needed to change the system as well. He's constantly winning.
Pep's never needed to change the system because the clubs accommodate Pep. Pep is bigger than the club. When it came to Barcelona, Pep plays the Barcelona way, but also the players he had, Pep's system is based on winning possession in the middle.
I think that he improved all of those players far more than it was ever expected. Like, if you look at Xavi and Iniesta, they were in that 2006 World Cup Spain team. Like, that was just, it seemed like typical Spain. Oh, they get to the quarterfinals, they'll play some nice football, but they won't threaten anyone. And like, those players became the two of the best midfielders of all time, certainly of their generation.
I mean, I think you definitely have a point with Xavi. He was improved by Pep, but I think Iniesta was always, one of the best midfielders in the world.
But I still think he was improved by Pep.
But, like, we've got plenty of players, like, look at that Chelsea team that won the Champions League in 2012. That core was players who were improved by Mourinho. Drogba, Terry, Lampard, Cech. Those four were made into such a spine for the team under Mourinho. And it's under Mourinho that it happened. Those four personified that winning Chelsea. And that's because of Mourinho. When he came to Inter, he took Diego Milito and won a Serie A,
But did he improve Milito, or did Milito just like to play under Mourinho? Because if you look at what Milito did after that, and like, it's similar with a lot of that Inter Milan team, a lot of that team was not very good after Mourinho left.
But I think, like, Mourinho, yeah, maybe he didn't improve them permanently, but that was an old Inter Milan team, you can't expect Marco Materazzi, who's 33 when Mourinho takes over.
Wesley Sneijder was like young enough. I think he was 27, 28 that season. Like, he still should have had another 2 or 3 years. And
but Sneijder was never as good as some people think he was, apart from that year with Mourinho. I think
he was the best player on the planet that one season.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
If Mourinho gets his players to play for him, like, he G's them up, like he gets them motivated, but I don't think he actually improves them as a player.
I mean, okay. When you say improve them as a player, does he make their technique better? Does he coach them to think better? Is that what you're like?
That's what I'm going.
That's what you're saying. Guardiola does. Mourinho doesn't do that because Mourinho sets up a system to suit his players. Pep makes his players suit the system. Mourinho makes a system that suits his players, if you understand.
Yeah.
So that's why Mourinho plays with what he has. Because with City, Guardiola's been going really well with City this season, but the framework for that has been laid 3 or 4 years in advance. They've got Tiki Bergenstein and Sorrento.
Yeah.
They're the backroom staff for City. They're like in charge of transfers. They were the guys in charge of Barcelona when Pep was there. City have been wanting to play a Pep football, and they've been setting up the club to play Pep football for years. And that's why it's coming together the way it is.
But I just think, I think when they both join the Manchester clubs, it's a very good starting point to show you how Pep is good, and like the good aspects of both managers and the bad aspects of both managers. Like, Pep seemed a little too stuck in his way last year, but he's come good this year. And like, that Man City team is amazing.
But like, that Man City team has been fantastic this year.
Yeah.
Last year, he couldn't do it with the full-backs he had at the club. He couldn't do it with the centre-backs he had at the club. But
Mourinho was similarly poor last season. Like, that Man United team was terrible at times.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I don't think Mourinho's been as good at Man United as he has been, before that.
Yeah.
They say, 15 years is about the shelf life of a manager?
Yeah.
Mourinho's been around for 13, 14 now, But, like, I just feel that Guardiola needs a specific environment to thrive, He went to Bayern, he played well, his Bayern team played well. They won the Bundesliga all 3 years, I think.
Yeah,
they didn't,
comfortably.
Yeah, they didn't win the Champions League. They got beat 7-1, 7-0 on aggregate once.
By Carlo
Ancelotti's Real Madrid. They were a good team without being Europe's best.
No, but then look at what happened to Bayern Munich once he left. Like, Carlo Ancelotti just got this big 7-1 win over Pep. Like, he's a fantastic manager. He's done loads throughout his career, multiple Champions Leagues. And then he goes to Bayern Munich and he just can't do anything with these players that Pep did loads with.
But, like, Pep did loads with these players, but you were saying he improves players. He disimproved David Alaba.
Well, I didn't really particularly rate Alaba before Pep arrived, but I will see that point.
I mean, I think you might have been blind then. He was 20 and one of the best fullbacks in the world. And then
I've never been convinced by him.
But the thing is, like, maybe he wasn't as good as he looked. Maybe it was just potential. But at the same time, Pep moved him to defensive midfield. And Alaba says he prefers playing there. Okay, he's a better left back. It's like Oxlade-Chamberlain. He's a better full back than he is centre mid.
Yeah.
You know, it's the manager's job to get the best out of his players. So, you know,
but he could afford to do that at Bayern.
He could, absolutely, he could. But I think part of the reason he didn't win the Champions League with Bayern is because the club wasn't quite right for him. You know, he played Philip Lahm in centre back. You know, this is the best right back in the world. Why are you playing him as a centre back? Because Guardiola wanted to come in and change things and improve them and do it his way. And if that meant, you know, playing the best right back in the world in centre back, where he's merely a very good centre back, so be it. You know, I think he sacrificed some of his team's effectiveness so he could play his football. And I think that's part of why they never won a Champions League under him.
No, but like Manuel Neuer is, like, a lot of people will argue that he is the best goalkeeper in the world. And a lot of that argument started to come out because of Pep. Like, he was very good under Jupp Heynckes before that. But he was basically a midfielder for that Bayern Munich team.
Yeah, he was, but he's always been a keeper who comes out of his goal and, you know, plays around with football. It's just, that is absolutely what Pep wants out of his keepers. So Manuel Neuer was a puzzle piece that completely fitted Pep's system, you know, so he looks better in it. But like I said earlier, Mourinho takes the system and builds it around the players he has, or the players he brings in.
It is two clashes of philosophy, so it is kind of hard to debate which one is better than the other. Okay,
definitely Guardiola's teams play better football.
Yeah.
You know, flat out. But I just think, you know, if you're a random top European team, you take Mourinho. Because if your team and your club isn't set up for having Guardiola, it won't work as well. Because I know, it's a bit of a weird argument to make, but like that Barcelona team, how much of it did he need to change? He got rid of
Ronaldinho and Deco, who were two of the best players in Europe, particularly Ronaldinho.
He got rid of Ronaldinho, who was 30, refused to train and was partying every night. You know?
He was still doing that when he was 26, 27. Like, he was influential in Barcelona winning the Champions League a few years before that.
Right, but Ronaldinho always...
I think in hindsight it looks like a good decision, but at the time there were questions.
Okay, definitely it took a lot of courage to do that.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of courage to get rid of Deco, who'd been a big part of, you know, a successful team there. But at the same time...
he brought up Sergio Busquets.
He did.
In midfield, like that.
Absolutely.
Again.
And I think...
Mourinho would never do anything like that.
Yeah. I think Sergio Busquets was the piece of the puzzle that Barcelona were missing before that.
Playing Messi in false nine, his best position, like, who's going to play? Who's going to think of that at that time? No one's playing false nine at that stage.
I mean, I go back to Arsenal's Invincibles. Who was the striker there? Dennis Bergkamp, who dropped back into midfield like a false nine, you know?
No, but they also had Thierry Henry,
who was out in the wing for that Invincibles
team.
In. Yeah. I mean, like, you're not wrong. It was definitely the first time to be sort of codified as a false nine, but other teams had done it.
Bergkamp was a 10.
Bergkamp was a 10 playing as a 9.
He was a 10 like Cantona was a 10.
Yeah, playing in the position of a 9, which is what a false 9 is, you know. I agree. It took a lot of courage from Pep to do that. And it was like he spotted the talent of Busquets and he was, you know, fantastic at that. Which, yeah, like I'm not trying to...
Gerard Piqué was a laughing stock on his way out of Manchester United, and he turned into one of the best centre backs in the world under Pep.
The problem with Piqué is that he's not a very good defender.
It didn't matter for that Barcelona team.
No, it didn't. But that's because Pep's teams, if they have enough control in the midfield, the defence barely gets bothered at all. You know, you have full-backs bombing on.
But they were still useful assets.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I'm just saying Piqué's strength as a defender is his ball playing, his distribution.
Yeah.
You know, he's perfectly suited to a Pep Guardiola team.
I still think he's a good defender. And he improved as a defender under Pep.
He has improved as a defender. He's a better defender now than he used to be. But at the same time, if Pep had not had Carlos Puyol and Gerard Piqué, and instead he'd had Marco Materazzi and Gary Cahill as the centre-backs, his system wouldn't have worked. That's what I'm saying. It's just that Pep is very, very good at what he does, but he needs everything to be right for it, you know? And I mean...
Well, he played Mangala yesterday, and I think we can all agree Mangala is not the best defender in the world. He did very well when he came on yesterday. Nicolas Otamendi has turned into a a goal scoring centre back. Something like he got 4 in his 4 up to now for City under Manuel Pellegrini. He's gotten 5 goals this season.
Yeah, no, Otamendi's been very good, and that is down to Pep, you know. But
like he's not a ball playing centre back.
He's not. But
like John Stones is his ball playing centre back, and he has improved greatly.
Yeah.
But Nicolas Otamendi has improved just as significantly, and he's become huge for a City now that Stones is out injured.
Yeah, but I still don't think that Otamendi is all that fantastic a back.
No, he was at fault for the goal yesterday, but it was a weird mistake. Like, he's going to have mistakes in him just because I think that's in his nature, but he's making fewer mistakes than he was.
Yeah, no, definitely. He's been improved by Guardiola. Guardiola does improve players. But, like, he improves them into what he needs them to be. John Stones was already a Guardiola-type player.
Yeah.
He's gotten better as a Guardiola-type player. But, like, Fabian Delph, you know, he's also been improved. He's looking better, you know, he's out in the wing. He's improving, but he's now a Guardiola fullback, you know. But like Mourinho, if he builds his team around his players, it doesn't require the player to learn anything new. It doesn't, like, Pep is good at getting that done.
These players should be learning how to play they should be learning.
Yes, but it also, if you get it wrong, it'll stunt their future growth. It'll, like, make them worse. Like, it'll make them jack of all trades when you're changing a centre midfielder like Fabian Delph to a fullback. And I think Delph was partially at fault for the goal yesterday too, which is also showing that he's not really a back, he's a centre mid. Fernandinho's dropping into centre back, which is good and all. He's a holding midfielder. He knows kind of what he's doing. He can play the ball. But at the same time, Fernandinho at centre back has a mistake in him, you know?
Yeah.
It's the same with Wijnaldum playing centre back for Liverpool. You know, there's mistakes in him. And when it works, it looks great. It's improving the player. It's fantastic. When it doesn't work, like with David Alaba at Bayern Munich, you know, it stunts his potential. It makes him a jack of all trades. Alaba now is a left back who can play centre mid. He's only a good left back. He's only a good centre mid.
Yeah.
You know, he looked like he could be great. Javi Martinez, he's a good centre back. He's a good midfielder. He's not, you know, one of the best at either.
I think he's pretty good at both.
I mean, he's good at both, but if he'd been left in one, if, you know, Guardiola had he was a defensive mid when Guardiola took over. If Guardiola had changed the system slightly, played him in the Busquets role instead of trying to play him in centre-back, I think Javi Martinez would be a better player right now.
Yeah, maybe.
And I think that's why Mourinho is, you know, good in a different way at improving his players.
Yeah, no, I don't want to disparage Mourinho. He's clearly achieved a lot as a manager. Like winning the Champions League with Porto, as we mentioned, is a great achievement. Winning the treble with Inter, that's going to be remembered for a long time. Like that's a great achievement. I just think that what Pep has brought to football is a lot better than what Mourinho has brought to football.
I mean, if you're talking about the long-term sort of tactical contribution to football, Guardiola's is without question better than Mourinho. I think Mourinho's, you know, innovation in the early mid-noughties is a little disregarded by people. I mean, remember pretty much 5-6 years ago, everybody played a 4-2-3-1 in England. Everybody played a 4-2-3-1. That came through Mourinho.
Yeah, no, like the first Chelsea side that won 95 points and won 29 league matches, like that was an incredible side. Like there's something about like that. This Guardiola team, if this Man City team actually do break that points record that we mentioned at the start of the show, like that's going to be a low blow for Mourinho.
Oh, definitely. I think he'll definitely take that personally. And
like I think Mourinho is thinking about that in the back of his mind, and he's fearing it.
Yeah, and I'd say if City can break it, they'd be the better team.
Yeah,
but I mean, at the same time, I don't think that I think that while the bottom 13 teams in the Premier League are better than they were now, I don't think the top 4 or 5 are as good. Like, I think
that was a time when like Man United weren't at their best. Like Arsenal were just in and like they were transitioning. Like,
Arsenal were the year after the Invincibles.
But I still think they were transitioning. Like it was the last.
I mean, a little bit, but they had Robert Pires, Freddie Ljungberg.
No, it was still a good Arsenal side.
Thierry
I just don't
Henry.
think it was quite the same as it was the year before.
I mean, okay, yeah, it wasn't as good as the Invincible side, but like, even that United team, that was the start of Ronaldo coming out as his...
It was still probably Ferguson's worst United team, though.
Oh no, it's nowhere near as bad as the one he won the league with. Last year,
he did win the league.
It was flat out.
And this is obviously disregarding the few teams as well before they won a league title.
This is just before he bought Vidic, isn't it?
It was just before. It was just while Van Nistelrooy was still at the club.
Yeah, I mean, Van Nistelrooy was a better striker than Louis Saha, who he had next year.
Well, no, Louis Saha came in. I think Louis Saha had a season with Van Nistelrooy as well.
I think he did actually, but there's no question in my mind Van Nistelrooy was a better striker.
Yeah, but he just didn't suit that team, and
he didn't as much.
It was apparent when he left that he was just bogging down the potential of that team.
I mean, he was a bit, but I think to disparage that Mourinho team. No, not disparage that Mourinho team, but to say that the best teams there weren't as good as the best teams now, I think is just flat out wrong.
I think it's closer than you're making it sound.
I don't, because the European look
at there's more of them as well. Look at
definitely. Yeah.
That Tottenham side now would destroy the Tottenham side of 2004.
Yeah, but the Everton side back then finished fourth. They would destroy the Everton of now.
Okay,
the Liverpool team of that year won the Champions League.
That was a poor.
It was
team to win the
it was a poor
Champions
team
League,
to win the Champions
League.
League.
It'd be a good match to watch that Liverpool side play the one of today.
I think they'd beat them because I think the defence is a lot better. They had Sami Hyypiä, they had Jamie Carragher, they had Did they have Skrtel back then?
No.
No, they didn't quite have him yet. But they still had a good team back then,
It'd be an interesting match.
It would be interesting. I mean, I think that's Gerrard in his peak. I know, okay, they were struggling at striker. They had Djibril Cissé and Peter Crouch up front. But at the same time, I think that was a good Liverpool team. I think it was a better Arsenal team than the one we have now.
Yeah,
and I think it was a better United team than we have now.
That'd be an interesting match as well. I think, probably.
And if you're comparing the champions, I think that Chelsea team was better than the Chelsea team now.
Yeah.
That
Chelsea team is one of the best Premier League sides.
Yeah. So yeah, and the thing is, Mourinho, all right, he spent an awful lot of money that year, especially in comparison.
That's the thing that both managers kind of have in common. They have spent a lot of money to get where they are today.
Absolutely. And I mean, that Chelsea team was probably the worst example just because of how little teams were spending at that time in comparison.
What was it, 30 million on Andrei Shevchenko at the time?
That was 2006, I think.
Yeah.
No, the first year he came in, he bought players like Jeremy for 15 million.
Yeah, Drogba was 20 or something.
24. He brought Arjen Robben in for 18.
Yeah.
Some of those, in hindsight, look like fantastic transfers.
Yeah.
Some of those, Matej Kezman, not so much. He spent an awful lot of money, but that Chelsea team, it wasn't he won the league with that team with 95 points.
Yeah.
The team the year before, nowhere near the team that won the league.
Yeah.
I think that Chelsea team needed that sort of a big transformation. Whereas when he came into Inter, it didn't need quite as big a transformation.
Yeah, and that Inter team did lose its best player in Zlatan the year they won the Champions League.
But I mean, he swapped it for Samuel Eto'o and 60 million. Samuel Eto'o, who fires him to the Champions League and the Serie A.
At first, that seemed like a questionable kind of decision. Oh, you're selling Zlatan. But in the end, I think it did benefit the team.
No, it did. And Zlatan at the time wanted to go to Barcelona to win the Champions League, to work with Guardiola.
Yeah, poor Zlatan. He'll never win it.
Yeah. But he went to work with Guardiola, and I don't know if you've read his autobiography.
I've read bits of it.
Yeah, he was definitely more praising of Mourinho.
Yeah.
I think that's another factor.
Mourinho is a much better man manager.
Yeah.
Just look at was it Marco Materazzi? I think we talked about this last week for some reason. But Marco Materazzi was crying in Mourinho's shoulder. Yeah. That's how much that's how much Mourinho meant to the players.
Yeah,
he affects players in a way that Pep doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, Zlatan, after a year working with him in Inter, said he'd die for him.
Yeah.
It started over the Euros. Mourinho's just signed for Inter. He's texting Zlatan already. How are you? How's my star man feeling for the game today? And it's Zlatan's holy, what's going on here? I don't even know you. And then by the end, he's just completely convinced. And I think Mourinho has lost a bit of that. I think part of that is down to, I don't know, did you hear, but his father passed away of cancer.
Yeah, that happened. That's not a good thing.
I don't think he's ever been the same. I don't think
he has seemed much calmer. Ever since that, as Conte put it, that Mourinho season, he has seemed to just be. He's mellowed out, kind of.
I mean, he came back to Chelsea saying he was the happy one.
Yeah,
he wasn't happy. That Chelsea team, maybe the first year, maybe even the second year, definitely not the third year.
Yeah,
and I think even at United, he's not been as happy. You can see it in the way he deals with the press. It used to be, he used to be the special one. He'd laugh and joke.
It seems like he's just a lot more snide about his match.
Exactly.
Like, he's just complete disrespect of Pep Guardiola this week.
That's like
as bad as there were the voyeur comments back in the day.
But
I think
they were still funny at the time. The way he said it, the way he delivered it, they were cruel. They were snide. They were spiteful. But there was an edge of humour to it.
He had more charisma.
He did. There was something about it that made you feel more forgiving of it. Whereas now, when he called
he's
Arsene,
just attacking people now.
Because Wenger had started that. Wenger had been talking about how much Chelsea had spent. He just fires back. It was funny at the time. Now
Mourinho's looking for it.
Now he's on the warpath. Now he's kind of complaining about anything and everything. You don't need to give him an excuse. He's the specialist in failure cracks at Arsenal were a bit over the top.
Yeah, they were unnecessary.
Yeah, exactly. It all feels unnecessary. Where it used to feel, a little bit more.
It kind of added to the event of it.
Yeah,
the spectacle.
Yeah, it was all nudge, nudge, wink, wink. He was kind of hyping it up for the media. He was playing with the media. Now it looks like he's against them. He's against other managers.
And since Pep has come into England, the media have turned on Mourinho.
I mean, it's not just...
He was the golden boy 10 years ago.
Oh, he definitely was 10 years ago. But I think, even when he came back to Chelsea that first time, he had the whole refereeing conspiracy.
Yeah, the stuff with Eva Carnero.
I mean, it's just... You don't see Pep at 10 years or Mourinho 10 years ago doing that,
and you don't see Pep doing something like that at all.
I mean, Pep's had his moments. Not as often as Mourinho, not as bad as Mourinho, but he has had a couple of... Yeah,
I remember last season he was a bit disrespectful during a few press conferences when things weren't going his way.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think Mourinho's got a much larger history of it.
Oh, no, definitely Mourinho's got a larger history, and he's worse for it. I just feel that, Pep it can be forgotten sometimes that Pep does it too, not as much.
Yeah.
Not any more than Klopp does it, not any more than Conte does it, not any more than Arsene Wenger does it.
Yeah.
But he's not, flawless, spotless. Just look at him yelling at Nathan Redmond.
Yeah, that was just a weird moment. I don't think there's any other way to put that one.
It's Mourinho's just, he's the worst of managers taken to 11, and he's the best of managers taken to 11. I don't know. He just feels larger than life in a way that a lot of others don't.
But he doesn't have that aura around him like he used to. I think his influence on the game is waning. I think, as you said, the whole 15 years thing, I think that could be affecting him as well.
I'd agree.
He's not he's a serial winner throughout his career, but I don't think he's going to win. I don't think he's going to win another Premier League title. I don't think he's going to win another Champions League title.
No, he's won a title every year except the first year with Real Madrid. That he hasn't got sacked. The first, every full year he's
won
been
it
at the
every
club.
second season. He's won the league every second season at the club he's been at.
No, I'm fairly sure he's won a title in every season apart from the one he's got sacked and that first one at Madrid.
And the first one at Chelsea in his second stint.
He won the League Cup then, I think.
Oh, right. I thought you meant just the league. Okay.
No, I mean any sort of a title. It doesn't have to be major. Yeah. Mourinho counts them all.
He really does. How many Community Shields does he have?
6, 7, God knows. But yeah, Mourinho is a serial winner, and his home record is the best of any manager.
That was only United's second defeat at home, and the first one was also to Manchester City.
I mean, I think he's lost something like 15, 16 home games in his career.
Yeah,
since he started with
8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
His home record is unmatched.
He didn't lose a game at home with Porto. He didn't lose a game at home with Chelsea.
The first time. He didn't lose a game at home with Inter. I think the first one was with Madrid against Barca.
You know,
there was some random mid-table team. Before
yes,
that.
was it Betis?
It could have been
some team like that. Gijon.
Yeah, it was a team that like they're a mid-table La Liga team. Like they're not a bad team, but it just seemed kind of random.
It did,
the first defeat in like 9 years.
11, I think. Yeah, I mean, you know, his home record is just flat out incredible, and like was 15, 16 home losses ever. Half of them in Chelsea's terrible season.
Everyone was getting them then. It was,
I mean,
it's a fire sale.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think that is an underrated achievement. I think.
Yeah, I think it is as well to some extent. But like the topic of the show started with is Pep not the where's the first question? But is there no way back for Mourinho in this rivalry?
It's hard to say really because like. Yeah, since they've both come into the Manchester clubs, you're absolutely right. They both spent a lot of money. Guardiola's made a team. Mourinho's bought a couple of players.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, has he lost it? Has he, you know... Because, look at the way he's treated poor Luke Shaw. You know, do you think Luke Shaw would die for him?
Yeah, I don't think so.
No.
I don't think any of those United players would. Maybe Zlatan still, just because of...
Ander Herrera?
Maybe, and part of that's just because of the person Ander Herrera is as well.
I mean, is Marcus Rojo going to do it? Phil Jones?
No, I don't. Juan Mata,
who he booted out in his first go or his second go at Chelsea. Like, because I mean, even the second stint at Chelsea, how many of those players looked like they'd die for him?
Not many.
No, the 3 rats. You know, it did feel a bit like they were getting him out of the club, and I don't think he's had that since Madrid. You know, I think Madrid kind of marked the best portion of Jose Mourinho's career. That second year, he won the league, beat Pep's
that's probably
Barca.
The most successful.
I don't even know is that the most successful, but I think it's one of the most.
Maybe it's probably not his best achievement. Like I think that inter travel is the best achievement he'll have in his career.
The inter travel, the Porto Champions League win, the Chelsea 95 points. They're all incredible.
He's had a great career.
They're all incredible.
Like, but I just think in terms of this rivalry with Pep, the Pep has gotten the definitive better over him.
I mean, and I do think that some of that is,
and that'll probably like to be fair to me, that'll probably be like one of the few black marks on his career. Yeah, I mean, he's the only manager with a winning record against Ferguson, isn't he? Yeah, like something he used to always get the better of Ferguson. I mean, I think that a lot of Guardiola, well, maybe not a lot, maybe it's a bit unfair to say it, but I think that Guardiola is helped by the fact that he got into coaching 4 years later than Mourinho. Not because of the 15-year cycle so much as Guardiola's football wouldn't work 10 years before he started coaching. If Guardiola had tried doing that in the year 2000, he would be like Marco Bielsa. He would be an ideologue who has not had the success that, you know, you think he should have. Poor Bielsa. Poor Bielsa. Like, I just don't see Guardiola's football working or starting to work at any, like, I don't see the birth of that style of football anywhere but Barcelona of that time, with those players, with Lionel Messi coming into bloom, with Iniesta and Xavi in the midfield, with Dani Alves on the wing, not in full back, you know, with Puyol at the back, with Alexis Sanchez and Pedro cutting in. Like, it was all set up perfectly for him. And I think that's what's launched him on. That was a fantastic launch pad for him, you know, and I think that's helped solidify his belief in his football. It's helped give legitimacy to it, you know, because they won everything. Obviously, this football works. I don't think that would work anywhere else at any other time, you know. Do you think Ronaldinho would fit into Pep's system? No. Like, a part of that kind of fits with Mourinho as well, though, because like that Champions League season, everything kind of just fell into place for him. Absolutely. I think with Porto it did. But again, like that type of football is it's a little more timeless. Yeah, definitely. I think you drop him into maybe not Chelsea, but any English team with the same funds as any English team with the same relative funds as Chelsea in 2005. I think he could win the league. You know, you do that in 1995, he can win the league. You do it in 1990, he could probably win the league. You drop him into that Inter team in 2000, I think he wins the league. You drop him into Real Madrid in, God knows, 2002, I think he wins the league. You know, I think Mourinho is able to adapt like that better.
you know?
Yeah, that's a valid point.
I think, Guardiola is a man of his time, whereas Mourinho would be successful anytime, anywhere he goes.
Yeah.
Because partially he gets a lot of his success from motivating his players so well, and because he builds his team around the players he has, or the players he has and can bring in.
Yeah. I think we fairly extensively covered this one. But listeners, if you have any thoughts on this rivalry between Mourinho and Pep, please email in at the tiapod@gmail.com. That will do us for our topic of the show. Join us for part 3, where we'll look forward to the Premier League midweek fixtures. Welcome back. There are another set of midweek fixtures this week. There was another one 2 weeks ago. So what better time to preview them than right now? On Tuesday evening, Huddersfield host Chelsea, and we talked a little bit about Chelsea's defeat against West Ham earlier. Is Huddersfield the unideal opponent for Chelsea?
Pretty much. I mean, they're, like we've said before, they're very, very good at home. They've lost, 2-3 games at home this season?
Just the one, I think, to
Just the
Tottenham.
one. Was City away?
Oh, yeah, City. Yeah, I forgot about City.
Yeah, City and Tottenham, you know.
Like, they've beaten Man United at home. Like, they gave City a good test.
Yeah, I mean, they're a really good team, especially at home. Chelsea have had trouble breaking down a parked bus.
Yeah.
Just this Sunday or Saturday. You know, like, Eden Hazard's obviously tired. Alvaro Morata.
Yeah, will we see some rotation maybe from Conte?
Maybe. Can you afford to drop Eden Hazard?
I don't know.
What's he resting him for? You know?
Just the Christmas period.
Another Premier League game on the weekend. You've Cesc Fabregas, who is built for games like these as far as Chelsea are concerned. But at the same time, he couldn't do it against West Ham.
Yeah.
You've got Alvaro Morata, who started fantastically, has eased off a little bit, maybe is not finishing quite as well as he was at the beginning of the season. Still a good player, still playing well.
I think this could be a good match to drop Kante for a match.
Do you remember how bad Chelsea looked for that month without
Yeah,
Chelsea?
but I don't think Huddersfield are going to be expecting to have the ball all that often.
I mean, that's true. Mourinho always says the team with the ball is the team with the fear.
Yeah, and Kante on the ball looks the least comfortable.
I'd say he's a bit more comfortable than Bakayoko right now.
Maybe, yeah, but he's a lot more limited than Bakayoko is.
I mean, yeah, I could see a two-man midfield. Chelsea go to 3-4-3. Danny Drinkwater and Cesc Fabregas in the middle. Stick Willian or Pedro up on front.
Yeah, I feel like Conte has kind of lost a bit of faith in Willian. He's not playing as much as he was.
Willian's an odd one. I mean, he can look fantastic and then look terrible the next week. He's no consistency. I mean, he was
very poor on Saturday when he came on.
He was very poor. But was it the Atletico game? He was on for 10 minutes and looked fantastic. Or was it the game before it?
Because he skied the shot that he had.
He did, yeah.
Against Atletico.
What game was it now? He came on with about 15 minutes left.
The Liverpool match, he came on, scored the equaliser.
That's the one, the Liverpool game. He looked fantastic in the little cameo he had. You know, I think Pedro's a bit more consistent.
And he always seems to deliver the goods for Chelsea when they need it.
Pedro's been a good player for Chelsea, yeah. I think he's unlucky with this new 3-5-2 that Conte's been trying out.
Yeah, it doesn't really fit Pedro.
It doesn't fit Pedro or Willian, who were two very good players last year for Chelsea. It also requires more from Chelsea's midfield, which isn't great when they have 4 fit central midfielders. I think Conte is trying to change the way the team plays, and I think he's right in doing that because I think they got figured out a bit at the end of last season.
Yeah.
I just don't think that they have the players to switch to a midfield 3, which they do need because Fabregas can't play in a midfield 2. He doesn't have the defensive ability to do it. With Kante, you can afford to not play 2 holding midfielders.
Yeah.
But, Drinkwater...
They could drop Bakayoko for Drinkwater.
I mean, Drinkwater, Kante, in your midfield too.
You can still play Fabregas, like if you want to play the 3-5-2 still.
Yeah, but that way you're dropping Pedro and Willian again. You know, it's Chelsea just don't seem to have, like, they have a good team, they have a lot of good players, they have some good depth in some positions. They just don't seem to have a formation that suits all their players.
Yeah, it's an interesting time for Conte. He's to kind of re-find himself.
Yeah, and I think if he does sort of ponder on that, and Chelsea's board identifies the signings they need now and goes for them properly, I think, you know, take this year, qualify for the Champions League, I was going to say get to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. With Barca, that might be quite difficult.
Yeah.
You know, put up a good showing against Barca, you know, make a run in the FA Cup.
Will Conte stay next summer?
It's hard to say. Like, he hasn't looked happy for a good while. He definitely wasn't happy going into the season with 4 midfielders.
Yeah.
Flat out, like, he's been saying it all along. He wasn't happy. He wanted another midfielder. I think he's quite lucky he even got as many as he did. Danny Drinkwater was only signed with, a week left?
Less. It was on the deadline.
Yeah, I mean, he came for 35 million as well. And I mean, I thought that was a bit extreme at the time. He's played quite well. He's not that old. I mean,
he's a Premier League winner after all.
He's a Premier League winner. You keep him for 5 years. He keeps the consistency that he's got at the moment. I think that's a good signing in the end. But like, they needed another midfielder coming into this. They needed another fullback. Zappacosta's had to play on both fullback positions. Azpilicueta's had to deputise a couple of times. Like, if Chelsea signed those two and have another creative player so that Hazard doesn't have to do everything up front, I think they're looking very good. But yeah, that's not right now. Right now, they don't have any of those things.
Will they beat Huddersfield?
I mean, I think they will, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if they draw.
Yeah, I could see Huddersfield winning this match. Actually, I think of the top teams, I think this is the biggest potential for an upset. I
mean, yeah, Huddersfield away is just a difficult place to go. I think Chelsea's defence is still quite solid, and I think it would be, you know, like, they'll have a lot of the ball. Huddersfield will try to hit them on the counter. I think Chelsea are quite used to that. I think they're quite good at dealing with that. I would be fairly surprised if Huddersfield score more. Okay, they might get one goal, but I don't see them scoring more than that.
But that could be enough in this.
That could be enough. At the same time, I think Chelsea will get a goal, maybe 2. Like, if they get 2, I could see them open up the floodgates a bit.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one to watch. It's live on BT. It's someone live on BT on Tuesday. So I'll be watching that one. And then on Wednesday evening, Manchester City are away to Swansea, and it's probably the nicest match they could have to follow up that brawl at Old Trafford. Yeah,
so naturally they'll lose it 1-0 and Swansea will get off the bottom of the table.
That would be a huge shock, I think. I think this is going to be comfortable too.
It should be.
Like, Swansea are good defensively, so it could be 0-0 for a while, but I think that Man City will come through with this one.
Swansea have nothing going on up front.
Yeah.
They have flat out nothing going on up front. City have looked a bit shaky recently. They weren't great against West Ham. They got the win. They weren't great against United. They got the win.
Yeah.
Who was they played the week before?
They're playing Huddersfield. They played Southampton.
Southampton was a bit of a grinding out again.
Yeah, they had another 2-1 victory as well that I can't think of.
It was not last weekend, but the weekend before. But anyway, like, they haven't looked as good as they, were. At the same time,
they're still grinding out victories. Yeah, Swansea are bottom of the table.
Yeah, and if you see them getting back that early season swashbuckling form anywhere, it's away against Swansea.
Yeah, I would think so too. And Liverpool hosts West Brom, and which West Brom is it going to be? Are they going to come out and attack the Pardew way, or will the Pulis effect just be a reflex and they'll go back to being really defensive?
I mean, I think, like Liverpool. There are 2 type of teams that really trouble Liverpool. The teams that are very, very quick and good on the counter-attack, because Liverpool's defence isn't good at dealing with that.
It's too slow.
Yeah, and the type of teams that completely pack the bus and clog up the middle, and Liverpool don't get any traction going forward.
Yeah, which we saw at the weekend.
Which we saw with Everton. So, like, I don't know which part he was going to go with, but he has to go with one of them. And with the lack of, speedy attackers in West Brom's team, I'd say we're going to be seeing a very parked bus.
Yeah, I could see this being a bit of a dull affair.
I don't know, 1-0 Liverpool for me. I think Salah's in great form. I can see them scoring.
I could see just Salah and Mane overwhelming them if they play.
If
you don't
they
know
play,
at the moment. And then Man United host West Brom. They're still without Pogba. Can they cope without Pogba?
At home against Bournemouth? I think so.
Yeah, I like if their team is going to be that bad without Pogba, then it says more about United as a whole than it does anything else. So if they can't beat Bournemouth, they're in a lot of trouble, I think. And that's not to discredit Bournemouth. I think they're a good side.
They're a good side.
I just think Man United should be winning this match.
Yeah, but Bournemouth are a bit out of form this season. They haven't looked as good as last year. The one problem I would see for United is that their central midfield is not creative. With Pogba gone, who's going to create chances in the middle?
It shouldn't be the case, though, that one player is gone. As good as Pogba is, he shouldn't be this reliant on Pogba.
It shouldn't, but, I mean, Pogba's one of the rare examples of a two-way midfield player. How many teams in the league even have that, Chelsea don't have one.
I think he's a great player. I just think that they should be able to even just have someone on the bench for when Pogba's not there to bring on.
Yeah, but United don't have anyone like that in the centre. And
that's kind of my point.
The thing is,
why are Man United Man United just seem like they're very poorly run.
But the thing is, players like that aren't common, No,
I'm not saying you buy someone or have someone on the bench that is Pogba. I just mean someone that can create.
I mean
someone that won't someone that can play the ball on the ground.
Technically, they've Heinrich Mkhitaryan can do that. Juan Mata can do that.
They play too far up the pitch that the ball ends up just flowing over their head.
I agree. You mean, you're talking about somebody like Fabregas,
Yeah.
Yeah, but how many teams in the league have somebody like that? City have plenty.
But Man United should be able to, they have all the resources in the world. This should not be a problem for them.
Yeah, but that's what Pogba was brought in to do. That's his role in the team. So they don't have a backup.
Pogba's only one man.
Yeah, they don't have a backup for him, but Chelsea don't have a backup for Fabregas,
Well, they've Danny Drinkwater, who I think is a similar... he's not as good as Fabregas, but I think he's a similar style.
I think he's a bit more of an all-rounder than, he can be creative, but I think he's a bit more...
I think he's got a very good range of pass, which I don't think you can say about a lot of Man United players.
That's true. They don't have any midfielder who can pass the ball more than 10 metres, really, outside of
Pogba,
yeah. I would... Yeah... They just don't have much creativity going forward. They've got a lot of threat in the wings. They don't have much creativity.
Yeah, it could just be a match that's played out in the wide, and hopefully they're just gonna hope that Lukaku can find his goal scoring form again.
I think Lukaku's been quite good so far without scoring many goals.
Yeah, he was crucial in the win against Arsenal. He's just been very unlucky, I think. He's been put under a lot of criticism. I was sceptical of his abilities while he was at Everton. I wouldn't say he's proven me wrong. He's kind of proven me right with his form at the moment. But I still think some of the criticism at the moment's been very harsh.
Oh, definitely. That's come because, he's being compared to Alvaro Morata, who looks like he'd suit this United team a bit better. I think that's the bigger issue with Lukaku that a lot of people have with him. But, he's still a great player, But the thing is, he's known as a goal scorer. That's what his biggest attribute is, his finishing, his strength, his pace, and his ability to stick the ball in the back of the net, which he's not doing at the moment. So, he is showing another side to his game. How many assists has he got before with Everton, with West Brom? Not very many.
I don't know what his assist figures have been, but he has contributed to United's attacking play very well.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think
the two-man up front system that they've been playing recently has really suited him as well.
No, I think that's another string to his bow, and I think it's one that he's really only added since moving to United.
Yeah.
But at the moment he's just not scoring goals, and the way that United team is set up, if the goal is not coming from the centre, it has to come from one of the wingers. Martial, Lingard, Rashford.
Martial's in great form at the moment. He's kind of picking up Lukaku's slack.
Yeah, I think Lingard's playing quite well at the moment.
Lingard's probably in the best form I've seen him play in a long time.
Yeah, I think Rashford's always dangerous. He got the goal against City. So, even if they're missing a bit of creativity, I think United still will have chances. They will,
Yeah, and it's at home as well.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, and even if it's only by pressuring Bournemouth and making them make mistakes, United have enough quick, good finishers to, properly exploit that. So I think they should be fine.
Will we see Zlatan start, maybe?
it wouldn't be the strangest place for him to get his first start back from injury.
Yeah, I think it might make sense to maybe rest Lukaku.
Yeah. I mean, I think if it's going to happen, it should happen at home.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't see why not, really.
Yeah, I could see him starting as well. And then Spurs get warmed up for their match against Man City at the weekend by hosting Brighton at home. I think that's not the ideal opponent for Tottenham either.
No, Brighton are quite tough. I mean, they did get a bit of a hammering there.
5-0 against Liverpool, I think it was. But I think that was at home. I think it's harder for them to set up defensively at home. It's away. It might suit them. Wembley. They'll relish playing at Wembley. I think they'll set up very defensively. Tottenham have struggled against a parked bus, for want of a better term. But Harry Kane's back in the goals this week, so maybe that could be the difference.
It could, especially if he gets an early one. I think that's probably why Liverpool ended up scoring 5.
An early goal could be the start of a rout.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, Brighton Shane Duffy is going to have flashbacks to the Denmark game with Christian Eriksen coming up against them.
Don't mind me.
I know. But yeah, really, if Brighton are going to be tight, they're going to be packed defensively, and if they manage that for an hour without any problems, I think that Tottenham will be starting to struggle a bit. At the same time, Harry Kane's a fantastic striker. Christian Eriksen's a brilliant playmaker. They can score a goal at any time, you know, with those two on the pitch.
And from any position.
And from any position.
Harry Kane has scored a lot of long-range goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, Brighton will not be safe until the game is over, really.
Yeah.
You know, I could see goals happening at any point. At the same time, Brighton are very, very good defensively. So, like, I could see them holding out Tottenham, you know. They're one of the few teams in the league that I think are good enough at the back to do it.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Like, Spurs kind of need to catch up with the rest of them. Like, they got lucky this weekend, but they won't get lucky every weekend.
Yeah, I think that little bit of a gap that's opened up will probably close quick enough.
They're only at one point behind Arsenal at this point, but like they want to be ahead of Arsenal. Like they're in terms of the top 6 race, they're last.
Yeah,
and you don't want to be last.
Yeah, and are they the only team with City left to play? Have Arsenal played City?
Yeah, I think they're the only team left to play City.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, that's probably skewing it even further because City are getting wins against everybody at the moment. So, you know, everybody else is 3 points further back than, you know, Spurs are.
Yeah, that's assuming Man City will beat Spurs.
That's assuming.
I think if any of the top teams is going to beat Man City, it could be Tottenham.
Even with Pochettino's record against the big teams?
Well, they won at home last season against Man City, and Pochettino has a good record against Man City. I think out of 4 matches for Tottenham, he's won 3. And drawn the other. Right.
I mean, Spurs' play style does suit it. But I think, like, they need both Wanyama and Dembele in the middle to do much to City's midfield. And I think at the back, they're still missing out Alderweireld.
Yeah, maybe the injury, maybe the timing isn't quite right for Spurs.
Yeah, I think those 2 injuries especially are going to be a bit too much.
And then the final game we're going to look at is West Ham host Arsenal. It's another big night at the London Stadium. The nighttime fixtures seem to always be a much better atmosphere at the London Stadium, although it was quite good at the weekend. And Arsenal are kind of a nice opponent for West Ham to follow up after such a big win against Chelsea.
I mean, they prefer Newcastle, or
maybe, but maybe David Moyes he loves the big occasion. David Moyes.
I mean, yeah, I'd say the London Stadium is going to be absolutely rocking. They've got their first win under Moyes. You know, they've got 2 improved performances. Things are, you know, probably going to be a bit more optimistic.
Looks a lot more organised now.
It does,
which is very helpful considering the chaos that they look like they were under Bilic.
Yeah, and I mean with Mikel Antonio up front, you know, Arsenal's defence always have mistakes in them. They're not in good form at the moment, any of them. You know, it was Mertesacker at the weekend. It was Koscielny before that.
Mustafi as well.
Mustafi, you know, is it Monreal's turn now?
Yeah, maybe.
Like, you know, Arsenal definitely always have a mistake in him. I think Antonio's a good player, you know.
He never seems to finish a match. Every time I watch West Ham, he goes off injured and then he's back the next week. It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, but I mean, if he can stay fit for the chance, you know, I think West Ham will have 2 or 3 good chances in this game.
Yeah.
And, like, if they finish him, you know, they might get a win because I do see them being quite strong defensively. I Arsenal are a good team to break down defences like this, though. You know, Lacazette's good, Ozil's good at it.
I think Sanchez might need to be dropped, though. Like, the stat yesterday was that he gave away possession 32 times against Southampton, which was just 2 fewer than the record set for Arsenal, which was Sanchez against Man United, which was 34 times.
Yeah.
Like, he's not having a good time. Like, maybe his heart's just not in it, but maybe he is just out of form.
Honestly, I'd like to see Wenger drop him and play Giroud up front with Lacazette.
Yeah, that'd be very interesting.
The two of them up front.
I even think, like, I don't particularly rate Danny Welbeck by himself, but I think his link-up play with Ozil and Lacazette is like enough to warrant him in the team.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see those two up front with Ozil feeding them, and you know, 2 decent wingers, and I think they're, you know, happy out, because really Ozil is coming into his own at the moment. He's the heartbeat of that team.
Yeah, this is like some of the best form he's had for Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, it's as good as he's been since, you know, the World Cup with Germany and his time with Real Madrid.
And putting 2 strikers in front of him will really, like, that's a system that suits him.
That suits him, especially when the 2 different strikers like Giroud and Lacazette, because they both do what they do so well. You know,
and Giroud, like, when a team's going to sit back like or West Ham will, like, Giroud will. Yeah, that's the exact kind of match you want him to play.
You get Giroud in there. He's the bull in the china shop, and then you get Lacazette, who's in, you know, picking up all the pieces. I think it'd be very interesting to see. West Ham are good defensively though, so like they do need a big game out of Ozil. You know, if he's off form, I don't see much happening at all for Arsenal.
Yeah,
you know?
But Arsenal also just have a fantastic record at the London Stadium.
That's true.
They just keep destroying West Ham every time they play West Ham recently.
Yeah. No, I mean, I do see Arsenal winning it. I do think they'll win it.
I think Arsenal will win it as well.
Yeah, I'd call it 3-1 maybe, you know.
Yeah, I could see them getting a few past West Ham.
Yeah, like they're just a good team right now. Arsenal, honestly, I think are looking better than they have been in a while.
Yeah.
You know, and it's time to see that turned into more wins.
Yeah, like, it's just the last couple of matches. Before that, they were in great form, and I think they will return to that. Like, I think the last few matches have just been unlucky on their part.
I mean, they were a bit unlucky against Southampton, and they were definitely unlucky against United.
Yeah. And it is with that, I think, that we will bring this very long show to a close. I'm kind of tired and hungry now. And it is with that, I want to thank you to any listeners who managed to listen through all 100 minutes of this podcast. You can email us at thetfpod@gmail.com if you have any questions on anything we discussed this week. Follow us on Twitter at thetfpod. Follow me on Twitter at cheesyharpun for some extra football musings through the week. Please subscribe, rate and review on whatever platform of your choice. Until next time, say goodbye, Matthias.
Goodbye, Matthias.
And it's goodbye from me.